Welcome to the show. Today we're talking about 12,000 UPS layoffs and additional troops that are being sent to the border from Georgia. UPS has announced 2 weeks ago that 12,000 employees will be cut over the course of 5 months, which is going to be detrimental to the operations of many subsidiaries that are depending upon those additional employees. And also, there will be macro effects in the economy that are basically related to, again, 12,000 employees not having a check and not putting that money into the economy. But again, we'll go ahead and tune into the story and listen to some of the information that's been provided.
UPS, the shipping company, missing estimates, really as a result of higher labor costs and lower package demand. UPS also announcing it will cut 12,000 jobs and ask workers to return to the office 5 days a week. Simone Foxman, it's a lot to digest within the UPS numbers.
So the interesting thing here is, I'd say not even, I think a little over 6 months ago, in August of 2023, the UPS struck a deal with the unions to raise the cost of at least their base pay for their hourly wage, which some of them were making, I believe, could top out around 75 to possibly 85K. I've heard some reports that were saying that they were possibly making 100K, but looking into that, that was based on locality. So that's very dependent upon where you're actually staying at. But again, a pretty nice increase. But the key takeaway here is that if you are not, making as much revenue as what you were in the pandemic, and things have decreased or declined, it's going to be very difficult to make up that income as a company. And so a lot of people are like, hey, yeah, they should be getting paid 70, 80K a year or 90K a year. And, the same sentiment is spread across the board with, fast food employment, right? You should be, yeah, sure, you make $18, $19, $20 an hour. But what's going to happen is that only a select few individuals will actually get to see that money in a form of a paycheck, because the rest of them are going to be replaced with automation, or they're just going to get laid off altogether. So this is a side effect of raising overhead in the company through the employees' pay.
Yeah, that's right. But I think CEO Carol Tomé summing this up well. 2023, she called it, was a unique and difficult year, and that she's focused on controlling what we could control. And that news about those 12,000 job cuts expected, UPS says, to yield $1 billion in savings this year. Remember, put this in the context of that $30 billion agreement that the company struck with its union of Teamsters over the summer. That is a 5-year agreement, but expected to significantly increase those wage costs. When you dive through the numbers here, fourth quarter sales, missing estimates, revenue down 7.8% year on year. Average daily package volume also down a similar amount on a year on year basis. Analysts really focusing immediately on the 2024 guidance, though, which also missed expectations. Revenue now expected to be $92 to $94.5 billion. The estimate was for 95.7, so well above what we actually are seeing from the.
Also, people aren't spending in the way that they were during the pandemic. You had a lot of stimulus from COVID, and a lot of cheap money that was being passed around due to the interest rates being low. So the rate to borrow was incredibly lower than what it is now. And so this is going to be an issue moving forward with these layoffs that are happening, because, despite, a deal that may have been struck for higher wages at these organizations such as UPS and the UAW, and even the fast food industry, you still have to pay those wages. That still has to come from somewhere. And so what's going to happen is when these companies are spending out of pocket, right? these wages are cutting into their profit margins. They're going to get creative or find creative ways to lower the overhead or lower the burden. And unfortunately, that results in layoffs.
Company annual sales will just rise about 1.1%. That was after a 9.3% job. So we're really not seeing that rebound that many had anticipated. Again, challenges after that labor agreement, those drawn out talks, winning back business that UPS lost during the summer is going to be a key challenge looking ahead. And then, of course, macro pressures. People are going back to the store. They're not ordering as much to their houses anymore. But Jefferies, which has a buy on the stock, saying, Wall Street's expectations were too high. Last year, the company set its own expectations too high, so this new guidance may set a floor for expectations and could set up a beat and raise, but clearly we're not seeing that.
And another point here is when you have organizations that are overzealous in their projections from year to year. So, case in point, they are talking about our projections for the 2023 was 95 billion. We came up short by 900 million. These projections, depending on how zealous the CEO is or the individuals within the organization who are projecting this, right? If they're not realistic about their projections, this is another factor that can also cause layoffs because they're not projecting accurately as to what they would be actually receiving as far as revenue. So that could be an issue there too as well. But we're going to pivot away from this, and we're going to look at
enthusiasm in the market
another
today,
issue that's happening
close
here,
to 7%.
which is the border. And they're deploying, mobilizing more National Guard troops to support Texas at the border. So this has been an issue for roughly a year and a half or 2 years. I have friends that have mobilized to the border. But again, I'm curious to see how this all plays out.
Governor Kemp just made that announcement minutes ago at a news conference at the state capitol, flanked by top Republican elected officials and state lawmakers. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes is live there at the Capitol, where the governor has talked about the border crisis. Deidre.
Christine, there was a great deal of speculation here at the state capitol leading up to this announcement that was made just moments ago, as you said, by Governor Kemp, that he would, in fact, this afternoon announce his plans to send some Georgia National Guard troops to the U.S.-Mexico border in Texas. And that is, in fact, what he says he plans to do this spring. Now, the announcement comes following his recent visit to Eagle Pass, Texas, where he joined Texas Governor Greg Abbott and several other Republicans.
$1 million question. How much is some? That can be, a couple thousand, couple hundred, and how bad is how bad is the border right now? We know we have migrants that are coming through that are from every descent that you can think of, and I'm curious to understand what is really happening at the border. There's also other YouTubers who are reporting about this, and it's pretty grim. So the fact that, the other states within the National Guard are actually sending additional troops to support an ongoing effort at the border, it makes you wonder what's really happening. So.
Republican governors to shine a light on the immigration crisis. The governor announcing this afternoon that Georgia will send reinforcements to Texas in the spring who will assist with the construction of a forward command post on the border with Mexico. The group of soldiers, we're told, will include those with engineering, mechanical, and general purpose skills. Now, the governor's announcement comes after both the Republican-led State House and Senate passed resolutions just this week supporting Governor Kemp's allocating state resources necessary to assist Governor Abbott in securing the southern border.
To be clear, the crisis on the border is a national problem, and it demands a national solution. But if the Biden administration continues to fail the American people, then we have no choice but to step in.
Yeah, the battle lines are being drawn here. You have a lot of the southern states that are supporting this initiative or effort at the border. I believe it's roughly 9 at this point. So yeah, it's getting pretty interesting. I want to see how this plays out. And again, as I've stated in previous videos, I'm curious to see, what the reaction is at the border between federal agents and the National Guard, because to my understanding, the soldiers that are at the border now are on Title 32 orders. And so what that is, those are basically state active duty orders. So it's interesting to see how this will all play out and really what's going to take place in the coming months.
Therefore, I'm announcing today that in addition to the Georgia Guardsmen already stationed at the border, we will send reinforcements to Texas this spring who will assist with the construction of a forward command post on the border with Mexico.
And in making that announcement, the governor did remind Georgians that Georgia has deployed troops to the Texas border dating back to 2019 and that there are.
Yeah, it's getting real out here, people. But again, that's all I have for today. Please click a like and subscribe to the algorithm, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.